Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture is titled NGC 147 and NGC 185. So what do we see here? Well, here we see two dwarf galaxies given by their catalog designations as part of the new general catalog of objects that include things like galaxies and star clusters that we look at that are not individual stars. Now, here we're looking at these. These are actually satellites of the Andromeda galaxy. So where is Andromeda? It's off the field here. We don't see it at all. But we do see these two small satellite galaxies, known as dwarf galaxies, that are part of the family of galaxies around Andromeda. So generally large galaxies like Andromeda or our own Milky Way do have a lot of other galaxies around them, generally a lot smaller than them. And here we see two that are actually very interesting in that they form a binary pair. Now we see binary stars where you might have more than one star, two stars orbiting one another, and we can see that quite often. But here we actually see two binary galaxies. So not only do these two galaxies as a whole orbit around Andromeda, but they also have individual orbits around each other. And in fact, there may be a third galaxy that's actually associated with them too that has been discovered more recently. So, much like stars, galaxies form themselves into groups, whether they be small groups, like the binary pair that we see here, or slightly larger groups, like our own local group of galaxy, which contains about 50 galaxies, including the Milky Way and Andromeda, or even larger clusters that can contain hundreds or thousands or more of galaxies. So, galaxies tend to group into groups, just as stars do. Now we see a lot of stars in the image here too. In fact, most of the other objects we see around look to be stars, and those are actually stars within our own Milky Way. So those are much closer than these galaxies, which are more like 2 million light years away, similar to the distance to the Andromeda galaxy. These stars are much, much closer within our own galaxy, so we're talking generally maybe hundreds or thousands of light years away. But stars, it's very difficult to tell their distance just by looking at them. In fact, it's almost impossible. How do we tell whether a star is close to us or far away? Well, one way to do it might be to look at how bright they are, but that doesn't really work because we have such a range of brightnesses of stars. You can have stars that are millions of times more luminous than our sun, or stars that are 1/1,000,000th the luminosity of our sun, meaning that the brightness we need to, without knowing that brightness, we really can't use it to help determine the distance to a star. So some of these stars could be very big, bright stars that are quite far away, or they could be very small, faint stars that are much closer to us. Other measurements need to be made to really be able to determine distances. So while you can easily say that the stars are much closer than the galaxies, because we would not be able to see individual stars easily at this kind of distance if we were looking out that far, we cannot really say individually looking at the stars and tell which of them are closer or farther away. So that was our picture of the day, titled NGC 147 and NGC 185. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be floral arrangement. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.